Part 35. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 341. This is your new home from now on, how about it Off-Eyes, do you like it? Although the other person is the leader of the terrorists who is feared by the whole world, but they are about to live together, Ria still plans to try to have a good relationship with the other person. But just after Rias asked Off-Eyes with a smile, the latter's answer made her not very happy. This kind of thing doesn't matter. Except for Yayu, Off-Eyes always looked so devoid of emotion when facing other people, and his eyes that looked like he was looking at trash made Rias particularly unhappy. Isn't he just the infinite dragon god? Why are you so arrogant? Didn't I tell you, you have to smile more? Having a straight face every day will make you look ugly. When Rias was so angry that she couldn't speak, Yayu, who was on the side, came over in a funny way and pinched the girl's mouth. Okay, show some respect. The other party is the infinite dragon god after all. Seeing Off-Eye's cute little face twisting and deforming in Yayu's hands, the blonde seraph eldest sister Gabriel came closer, dumbfounded. Is there anything that Off-Eyes wants? Even Gabriel couldn't help but feel a little nervous when facing such a presence. After approaching, she asked cautiously. Off-Eyes nodded expressionlessly and said the next sentence. The head of Great Red. Too dangerous. Don't answer without hesitation. The corners of Gabriel's mouth twitched. This kind of wish is too dangerous. At least you should have some wishes that are suitable for girls. Gabriel sighed helplessly as he spoke. After all, the dimensional rift that was his hometown was occupied by Great Red and he was unable to return home. This was Off-Eyes' biggest worry, and it was also the reason why she gathered the members of the disaster group. Reason. But if we live here now, we won't need Great Red's head. A girl's matching wish. Off-Eyes tilted his head in confusion, then looked at Yayu standing next to him and then spoke slowly again. I want Yayu's child. This wish is even more forbidden. It is absolutely forbidden. Before Gabriel could speak with a twitch in his mouth, Rias on the other side came over and started shouting. Well, what was Off-Eyes' life like before? Trying his best to smile, Gabriel felt that he should change the topic. After hearing Gabriel's question, Off-Eyes seemed to think for a moment, then silently shook his head from side to side. His behavior is really cute, and there is no clue that this is the strongest invincible dragon. Sit on the chair, stay in the dark room, tell them your wish, give them the snake, it's gone. Off-Eyes only said such a simple answer, which filled the room with an atmosphere of silence. This lonely life is really beyond imagination. Gabriel still maintained a stiff expression, while Yayu on the other side leaned over and gently hugged the little girl. Let's go buy some daily necessities first, so that Off-Eyes can know what a normal girl should live. We also need to buy underwear. Your sizes must be inappropriate for her, right? As Yayu said this, his eyes swept across all the girls in the room. Several girls, including Gabriel, all blushed, except Xiaomao, who lowered his head in frustration. Her breasts looked like something that was really bothering the girl. Well, let's go buy some underwear first. What type of underwear are you wearing now? Yayu asked casually, and Off-Eyes suddenly jumped out of his arms. I don't have any underwear. She rolled up her skirt while saying this. Suddenly the beautiful scenery of the girl's place was exposed without reservation. Stop. Stop. What stupid thing are you doing? Rias hurriedly stood in front of Off-Eyes. Tisk, is it true that Yayu is a lolicon? Akeno stood there sighing loudly and shaking her head, looking very cute. Brother Yayu, do you really not care about the size of your breasts? Listening to what Akeno said, Konako also had a look of expectation on her face. Ahem, cough, Off-Eyes, listen to me, you are a girl. Girls should cherish themselves, you know. You should never act in such a frivolous way in front of a man. At the critical moment, Gabriel stood up. After putting down Off-Eye's skirt, the girl said to him with a serious face. But I am his pet. As a pet, it is natural for me to serve my master and make him feel happy. Off-Eye said so matter-of-factly, causing Gabriel to cover his face feebly again, while Yayu on the other side looked dumbfounded. It seems that it will take a long time to teach girls the correct outlook on life. It seems that the days in the future will no longer be boring. Regarding girls' clothes, Yayu naturally didn't know how to choose. In addition, he was buying some furniture for the new home, so Rias went with Yayu and Off-Eyes. The target of the three people was the nearby department store. Because of the weekend, the department store was crowded with people. Off-Eyes looked very curious. Although his face was expressionless, his eyes were looking around them all. The first thing is the furniture configuration. Then choose 2 beds. It is also necessary to configure a TV and a sofa. Ria said this, leading Yayu and Off-Eyes towards the direction of the furniture city. Yayu held Off-Eyes' hand and caught up with Ria's. If she hadn't held Off-Eyes' hand, she would have been lost in an instant. It looked like an unusually harmonious family of 3 out shopping, which made Ria secretly happy. The 3 of them first went shopping for beds and bedding in furniture stores. Although it felt like having Off-Eyes lie down on it to check the size and the feeling of lying down. However, the little girl's feelings were all not bad, so it was left to Rias's judgment. In fact, it was Rias's first time to go shopping. The girl didn't know much, so she just picked out the expensive ones and bought them all. Anyway, the Gremory family is very wealthy, so such a small expense doesn't matter. After asking the waiter to pack the goods and send them to the new mansion, the group headed to the home appliance area. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 342. After a few hours, almost all the things that should be bought were bought, except for Off-Eye's underwear. Having said that, the girl has always been in a vacuum state from the beginning to now. Thinking of this, Yayu couldn't help but feel a surge of energy and blood. The wonderful scene he saw not long ago is still imagining in his mind. It's almost done. I've bought a lot of things. As Ria said this, the group walked into the next area. This is the grocery area, where most idle businessmen set up shop. As soon as they arrived here, Rias and Yayu heard a very familiar voice, and immediately the corners of their mouths twitched involuntarily. Off-Eyes on the other side tilted his head cutely, not knowing what was going on. Madam over there. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to use this special kitchen knife to easily cut a hard pumpkin. Please come over and take a look. There was a group of ants gathered in a corner of the floor, and they seemed to be performing sales or something like that. A handsome man in an apron waved a kitchen knife with a cheerful face. Azazel, Yayu pointed at the man with a sad look on his face, not knowing who he was asking. It seems that you are not dazzled, Yayu. Rias nodded and replied with certainty. Hey, the elder sister of that pair of sisters. Oh, you are the mother. Oh, you are so young. I thought they were the elder sister and the younger sister. Oh, it's true, Mr. Azazel. You always say this to me. Listening to Azazel teasing the middle-aged woman, it is obvious that this is definitely not the first time that he has done such a thing. Then, in a department store on weekends, in front of Yayu and Rias, whose eyes were twitching, Azazel dexterously wielded a kitchen knife and carved easily on the hard pumpkin. How about it, ladies? This is the heirloom sword, the dragon sword of light and darkness, kitchen knife type. Even though that kitchen knife had a very impressive name, it was indeed sharp enough. However, I also felt a strange atmosphere from the kitchen knife. Have you heard of that name somewhere? That kitchen knife, I think I heard him mention it, is an artificial artifact developed as a result of the teacher's research. Rias on the side said this with some uncertainty. Azazel proudly showed the carved pumpkin to the ladies, and then cut the paper, wooden chopping board, and even metal with ease. Look at it. It's so sharp. It can even cut through wood and metal. And even if you cut it to death, the edge of the knife is not curled at all. This lady. This kitchen knife is great. Look, even the evil spirit or the husband, the mistress, can easily cut it. From solving family problems to exterminating evil spirits, you can use this kitchen knife to solve it. Oh, I hate it. You really like to joke. Then I'll buy one. Although he boasted wildly to the wife, who didn't know where he came from, most of what he said was indeed true. That kitchen knife could easily eliminate evil spirits. After all, there seemed to be no doubt about the aura emitted by that kitchen knife. It's the real thing. It's so pitiful. As a fallen angel, has the governor become so poor? Yeah, you couldn't help but be deeply moved as he looked at Azazel, who was selling kitchen knives hard. It seems that he wants to recover the part of the funds that he has used casually in this way, but selling artificial artifacts to ordinary people is too much. Hey, after all, it is Azazel, so he should be selling it. It's a type that doesn't have much impact on humans, but even so, it can't be left alone. Ria said as she took out her phone, not knowing who to start talking to. Ria said with a smile as the call ended. I've already asked Shemhasa to contact him. I think the fallen angels know about the shameless trafficking behavior of the governor of the fallen angels, and they will definitely arrest Azazel soon. It's so cruel. Azazel doesn't even have dignity, so why can't we leave him a way to survive? Yeah, you said this with an excited expression. Next, as long as you buy this kitchen knife today, there will be a bonus. That is, the hot and frozen dragon slayer pot. No matter how you cook it, it will not burn at all. It is the best and hardest pot. The boasted Azazel brought out something strange again. Are you researching artifacts or developing kitchen utensils? How on earth did these strange things come about? Not long after, a group of burly men in black suddenly appeared behind the department store. As the people around him watched Azazel scream and be dragged away by a group of big men, yeah, you couldn't help but mourn in his heart for the fallen angel governor. Unconsciously, they have been shopping all morning. At this moment, Yayu and others are eating a simple meal in the food court, and Afaiz is devouring bagels. I like bagels and cookies. After finishing the small desserts on the table, Afaiz raised his head and said seriously. He just simply likes sweets. Even though he is a dragon god, he still ends up being the same as a child. After eating, the group came to the women's underwear store. Afaiz, what kind of underwear do you want? Rias asked. I don't understand. Afaiz shook his head. As for underwear, what do you think of black? It goes well with your skirt. Looking at the little girl in a black dress, Yayu chuckled. Yeah, that color suits you very well. How about this one? The size is a little too big. Rias had already started to choose underwear, but it was really difficult to find the right size for Afaiz's body type. Do you want your breasts to be bigger? My breasts are bare. Afaiz looked at Rias, then at his own flat breasts, and pouted slightly. Well, according to your body shape, it looks better to be small and exquisite like this. Yeah, you said this amusingly, while Afaiz tilted his head in confusion. Master, do you like small breasts like this? It's not that I like it, I just think that what kind of body shape goes with what kind of figure. Your body shape is just right. Yeah, you cleared his throat in embarrassment. Even if he really liked it and agreed like this, he would definitely be treated as a pervert. Let's try on the underwear. This size should be about the same. Yayu, please stay aside and don't peek. After warning Yayu, Rias immediately pulled Afaiz into the dressing room. Do I look like this kind of person? He said this with a wry smile, touched the tip of his nose, and Yayu shrugged helplessly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 343. Upgrade Exam. What is that? Haven't you already passed it? When Rias told Yayu such a thing, Yayu asked with a blank look on his face. It's not a promotion test for Qiao Academy, it's a promotion test for the underworld. Rias explained this, and Yayu finally understood that the test she was talking about was an upgrade test to the demon level. Kiba, Akeno, Aisha, Irina and Zenovia are taking the intermediate demon exam. This exam is taking place at the Demon King's school. Logically speaking, the exam location should be Graciera, Persia, or the territory of the Asteroda family. However, because she was her dependent, Rias used a little power to change the exam location to the Demon King's territory, which is now the capital of the underworld, Luciferdug. This is also where the castle of Lucifer, the strongest demon king in the underworld, is located. Land. Do I need to take the exam too? Yayu asked curiously. Sitting in his arms was Offeyes. The girl he got along with during this period was like a follower, clinging to him all the time. In addition, there were several night attacks that caused bad consequences. If it weren't for Yayu's deep concentration, he might have actually given birth to a little dragon with this cute little dragon. Don't you know? According to my brother's classification, your level has already reached the level of the Demon King. Ria said this. Yayu was slightly startled, but after thinking about it quickly, it was not surprising. The strength he showed was classified as Demon King level, which should be said to be low. Although you don't have to take the exam, as a family member you still have to go to the exam site. Akeno and the others have already set off first. Let's go too. Ria said this. Yayu looked at Offeyes in his arms. Is it really okay to take this little guy to the underworld? Will Sertsk and the others be nervous? It was a bit funny to ask this, but Offeyes in Yayu's arms hugged Yayu's body, obviously not wanting to leave his side. Well, my brother and the others have known about the existence of Offeyes for a long time, and they have been observing it for so long. It is basically certain that Offeyes is harmless. Let's go quickly, the exam time is almost here. As Ria said this, her hands released bloody light, and a huge teleportation magic square lit up. Yayu stood in the magic square with Offeyes in his arms, and soon disappeared into the house with Rias. The next moment, Yayu, Offeyes, and Rias appeared in the lobby of the magnificent hotel. The last time he came to the underworld was Gremory's family, and this was his first time to the Demon King's palace, the special palace of Demon King Lucifer. It's really luxurious, even more exaggerated than the Gremory family. Yayu praised so funny, while Rias on the other side explained. After all, it is the palace of the Demon King Lucifer that has been passed down for generations. It is only natural that it should look so luxurious. Well, the exam should have started. Let's wait here for their good news. The intermediate demon exam consists of only written exams and practical exercises. As for the written test, it was nothing to Akeno and the others. They answered almost all the questions smoothly, even if there were a few questions that were specifically designed to make things difficult. As for the practical exam, it was even simpler. The candidates competed against each other, and the invigilator evaluated and scored. Of course, because Aisha had a special ability, the exam also became a treatment and recovery. The exam finally ended after several hours. Shortly after Akeno and the others returned to the hall, Grafia and Sertsk also came here. To celebrate the successful conclusion of the exam, let's hold a banquet first. Azazel's side should have already prepared it. Sertsk smiled easily. Before the exam, Azazel had discussed having a banquet. It is estimated that the preparations have been made by now, and the only thing left is for the candidates to return. Well, brother is right. Aisha and the others also did very well in the exam. They should indeed celebrate. Rias hugged Elsa and nodded. Her dependents were getting stronger and stronger, so she was naturally very happy. Is there a party? After hearing these words, Off-Eyes, who was very interested in eating, suddenly widened his eyes cutely, making Yayu on the side shook his head in amusement. The majestic infinite dragon god Off-Eyes has completely become a foodie. Congratulations on your successful completion of the exam, thank you for your hard work. Cheers. In a hotel not far from the Demon King's palace, in a luxurious and elegant luxury box, Azazel, who looked like he was drunk, drank the wine in one gulp and then filled the cup with wine again. This banquet was prepared by Azazel himself. When Yayu and the others arrived, they found that he had been drinking there for a long time. If it hadn't been for the spiritual power to sober up, this bastard governor of the fallen angel would have been drunk. Not only Azazel, Sertsk, who was sitting in the main seat, also drank a lot, but the wine seemed to have no effect on him at all, and there was no need for spiritual energy to sober up. After all, it was the students he taught himself and achieved such good results. As a tutor, it was normal for Azazel to be so happy. At the end of the banquet, probably only Sertsk and Yayu were still awake. The others all drank some wine more or less under the instigation of Azazel, and then they all became drunk. Look. Needless to say about the church trio, they had never touched alcohol before, so they drank it as soon as they touched it. Akeno drank boldly with Azazel for a long time. She was probably the best drinker among the girls. As for Off-Eyes, he kept eating all kinds of exquisite snacks without stopping. The banquet was noisy until the evening, and Graphia arranged the room. They stayed at the Demon King's land for the night. While Graphia was taking the girls back to her room, Sertsk sneaked up to Yayu. You kid, you must seize this opportunity today. What chance? Yayu was stunned for a moment and did not react. What do you think? Of course it's Grafia's matter. There has been no progress for such a long time. It seems you didn't take my words to heart, Yayu. This kind of thing, even if I want to, I can't just do it. Yayu smiled helplessly, while Sertsk shook his head unhappily. I don't want to listen to excuses. Anyway, I have created an excellent opportunity for you today. I hope you won't let me down. Give Gulafaya happiness. Just treat it as my responsibility to you. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai. Chapter 344. Although Sertsk said this and indeed created an excellent opportunity for him to take action, the biggest problem facing Yayu was Off-Eyes. Looking at Off-Eyes, who was staring at him, Yayu thought about what he should do to hide it from the eyes of this cute dragon, especially now that this cute dragon was still thinking about having a child with him. After Gulafaya arranged the girls' rooms, the night was getting dark, and Yayu and Off-Eyes also returned to their rooms. Seemingly very satisfied with the dinner, Off-Eyes fell asleep obediently after returning to the room. Originally, Rias was strongly opposed to letting Off-Eyes and Yayu sleep together, but after trying many times and always finding Off-Eyes on Yayu's bed the next morning, Rias decided. I gave up the idea and let her go. Anyway, at least so far, nothing has happened between Off-Eyes and Yayu. After Off-Eyes fell asleep, Yayu quietly left his room. To be honest, Yayu had been holding it in for many days. After being encouraged by Sertsk at the dinner, he became bolder due to his drunkenness. Originally, according to Yayu's idea, Grafia's matter could not be rushed and needed to be done slowly and bit by bit, but since Sertsk had urged him, why should he be polite? In the past, he was not very confident in his own strength. As for now, Yayu believed that he could easily subdue Gulafaya. The Demon King's castle was very big. After walking left and right for a long time, Yayu finally came to Gulafaya's room. You can feel the trigger-shaped magic circle attached to the door, and Grafia, who seems to be keenly aware of something, is also very cautious. However, These magic arrays naturally could not stop Yayu. He perfectly avoided the trigger points of the magic arrays, and Yayu walked into the room easily. The room was very quiet, and faint breathing could be heard. After all, this is the Demon King's castle, and a barrier has been placed at the door. It's only natural that Gurfia sleeps so peacefully. I'm afraid she never dreamed that someone could easily break through her barrier, right? I'm sorry, Graphia, but this is for your sake. Yayu said to himself, even though he quietly approached the sleeping figure on the bed, but just as he jumped directly onto the bed, the figure on the bed dodged quickly and easily avoided Yayu's attack. I knew, Lord Lucifer was definitely not telling you good things by being secretive with you. Looking at Yayu with an embarrassed look on his face, Gurfia, who was wearing pajamas, said helplessly. Ahem, I can't help it, because I was asked by Sertsk and I don't want to disappoint him. Yayu said this with reason, while Gurfia on the side blushed. Yayu was slightly taken aback by Gurfia's reaction. Originally, Yayu thought that Gurfia would be magical and angry, and then kick him out, but now it seems that Gurfia's thoughts are different from his own. You don't think so? Although it sounds ridiculous, isn't it also exciting for you, Graphia? Saying this very despicably, Yayu's face showed a somewhat cruel smile. Yayu was betting that Gurfia had accepted her fate and had chosen to accept him. But this time it seemed that he had made the right bet. After he said these words, Gurfia sighed quietly, with a somewhat resentful look on her face. I can allow you to do this, but you must not tell others, especially Rias. You must not let her know. Gurfia said so softly, this sentence seemed to be an invitation. After receiving the affirmation, Yayu couldn't wait to take Gurfia into his arms and smell her fragrance. Hey, don't be so careless, don't you know how to be gentle? Looking at Yayu's actions, Gulafia shook her head in amusement, and took the initiative to help Yayu take off his clothes, like a virtuous wife. Does Yayu have any experience in that field? What do you think of Gurfia? Who knew there were so many outstanding women around you, and who knew how many women you had relationships with? Gulafia said somewhat unhappily, with a hint of jealousy. The girl's palm brushed Yayu's chest, making the latter's body tremble slightly uncontrollably. Well, I definitely have experience. I have a wife and even a child. Involuntarily thinking of Iris Veal, Yayu's lips curved into a faint smile. Hey, you have a wife and children. Gulafia was shocked by Yayu's words. Kindness. Then, where are they now? They. Yayu's tone became lower, and Gurfia was very sensible and did not continue to ask any more questions. She had already guessed that this might not be a good memory for Yayu. I'm sorry, although I can't be your wife, but if I can, I hope I can share your pain and sorrow. With that said, the two of them pursued the primitive happiness together. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 345. Although I can rule the entire world, I always feel that it is a very long and boring task. In his room, Yayu sighed and said this, while Off-Eyes on the side tilted his head curiously. Although it sounds a little funny, the world is indeed at peace. Without Orpheus, the group of misfortunes is basically useless, and the voices of the various pantheons around the world becoming less and less united. The only few discordant voices were silenced, and they did not dare to act rashly in the current situation. The world has thus ushered in a period of stable development, with all the gods helping each other like a family. Why do you want to rule the world? Because this is an exam. If I can't complete the test questions given to me by a big shot, she will definitely be angry. Yayu said this helplessly, while Off-Eyes' eyes showed a look of curiosity. That big shot, is he the one who gave Ralong the power? Off-Eyes said this, and Yayu's nodded slightly. I want to see her. Even if you want to see her, it's not that easy to see her. You must know that she is in another world. Yeah, you said this, and Off-Eyes shook his head very stubbornly. Then take me to another world. This is a promise. Seeing that Off-Eyes still remembered what he had said, yeah, you looked a little embarrassed and touched the tip of his nose. But, I don't know how to go back. If I pass the exam, I can go back, but I don't know if I have passed it. Yeah, you said this with some uncertainty, while Off-Eyes beside him stood up in a flash. Well, what are you going to do? To conquer the world? Don't make such a dangerous declaration with the expression and tone of voice that says I'm going to a street snack shop to buy snacks. With a look of dumbfounding, yeah, you pulled Off-Eyes, and just as a crack in the world appeared in the room, it was swallowed up before the two of them noticed it. When Yayu and Off-Eyes reacted, they found that the surrounding scene was different. Off-Eyes looked around curiously, while Yayu recognized where this place was at a glance. This was Nesha and Nisa's bedroom. He came back just like that, and he came back with Off-Eyes. Could it be said that Nation and Nasa brought him back? Thinking this, Yayu couldn't help but try to call out. Nasha Nasa, are you there? Tisk, you guys are really enjoying yourself a little bit. If I hadn't pulled you back, how long would you have stayed in that world? The girl's clear and sweet voice rang in the room. For some reason, Yayu seemed to hear some resentment in this voice. Immediately, with a dazzling purple light, a petite Lolita with long purple hair appeared in front of Yayu, and then because of her height, Nasa couldn't help but look up at Yayu. Then the next second, the two people's positions were reversed. They stepped on Yayu's head and trampled his whole body on the bed. Nation and Nasha let out a long sigh of relief. Well, this servant dares to let me look up at you. It's really disrespectful. I said, it wouldn't be nice to treat me like this when we first met, right? Yeah, you said this with a bit of laughter and tears. Although he was stepped on by Nasha and Nasha, he didn't look angry at all. The girl's white feet were soft, slightly cool, and had a faint fragrance. The curled toes are as round as jade, like pearls. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a kind of enjoyment to be stepped on by such cute little feet. Yayu narrowed his eyes slightly, moved his body slightly, and looked up the girl's slender legs, and then almost didn't, squirting out nosebleeds. Isn't it true that Nesha and Nisa, like Off-Eyes, don't wear underwear? Well, what are you thinking about? Seeing that Yayu suddenly lost his voice, Nation and Nasha asked curiously, and the latter suddenly became excited and smiled kindly. Nothing, nothing. Why did it suddenly pull me back? I obviously still rule that world. It's not necessary. You idiot, if you continue like that, you won't be able to make that world your own for the rest of your life. Nationaza said this and shook her head with some hatred. Although you say so, I really don't understand anything about this aspect. Yayu shook his head with a wry smile, while Naishanisa stomped on his face a few more times in anger. I just know that it's strange that you, a womanizer, can understand it. Don't slander people casually. How can I play with women? Tisk, I have ambiguous relationships with so many women, and I want to have a baby with this guy. Do you think I don't know anything? Pointing at Off-Eyes, Naishanisa said angrily. As Nationis's attention fell on Off-Eyes, the latter shrank back in fear. Off-Eyes has remained silent since meeting Nasha and Nasha. The reason is very simple, that is, Nasha and Nasha's power and aura made the girl feel afraid. It was overwhelmingly powerful in terms of blood, strength, and soul, so powerful that Off-Eyes didn't even dare to move. Well, are you jealous of Nasha? Even if I have a baby dragon, I will only have one with you. Seeing Nasha and Nasha's reaction, Yayu showed some interest on his face, and then he said this in a colorful way. Tisk, you used to be an ice cube like little Keek, and now you have turned into a playboy. It seems that the sins of this life have really affected you a lot. Well, I don't feel that I have been affected by the sins of this life. I just feel that the once incomplete me is gradually becoming complete. Yayu touched his head and said, he has indeed changed a lot. The biggest change is that compared to before, he now has more and more emotions, and behaves more and more like a complete and normal existence. I used to seem to be missing something, but now I seem to be gradually getting back what I lost. Complete? You are still far away from being complete now. This is just the first step. Congratulations, you barely passed. Nation and Naisha said this and finally let go of Yayu. The girl turned around a little arrogantly, and she didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional, and her cute tail swept across Yayu's face. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 346. Is it barely qualified? Then can I return to that world in the future? Listening to what Naisha and Naisha said, yeah, you couldn't help but ask this question. This question immediately caused Naisha and Naisha's displeasure. Tisk, you guy really still has a crush on the women over there. Ah, it feels bad to leave without saying goodbye anyway. Don't worry. Since I said you are qualified, then naturally as promised at the beginning, that world belongs to you. You can go there whenever you want. Nation and Naisha said this, and Yayuz was a little confused. The world belongs to him. How can a world belong to an individual? Seeing Yayuz's confused look, Nation and Naisha laughed nonchalantly, and immediately stretched out her hand and put it on his forehead. When you come into contact with this level of power, you will naturally understand that all this is actually nothing. It is just the kingdom of God in the palm of your hand. The real strong man has more of the world in his hands than you imagine. Do you have the kingdom of God in your palm? Yeah, you looked down at his palms as he muttered to himself. Even though Nasha and Naisha said this, he still found it difficult to understand. What level of power is it to hold a world in your hands? He shook his head in a funny way to get rid of these distracting thoughts from his heart. Why did he think so much? Just like Naisha and Naisha said, he would naturally understand when he should understand. The flow of time in the two worlds is also different, so there is nothing to worry about. No matter how long you stay in Xianiwa, only a short time has passed there. Listening to what Naisha and Naisha said, Yayu also breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that his leaving without saying goodbye didn't matter at all. If there is a chance in the future, please bring Rias and the others to the small garden to have a look. I believe they will be very interested in this colorful world. Before that, let's take off eyes around and have fun in this small garden world, because this is the agreement with her. Yeah, you thought about this and looked at Off Eyes, who was hiding next to him. The timid look of the girl made him involuntarily feel a little funny. Is it really that scary? Look at how scared you are of Nesha and Nisa. The uncomfortable feeling is annoying. Off Eyes said this while hiding behind Yayu and carefully observing Nayashanisa. Well, for the pure blood of our dragon, the suppressive power of the blood is absolute. There is nothing strange about why she appears like this in front of me. Looking at Off Eyes' appearance, Nesha and Nisa said lazily. Okay, get ready and let's go to the lower level together. The lower level? What lower level? Yayu was slightly startled by Nationis's words, and then asked with some confusion. The nameless station in the 7th outer layer. Why, after going out, you don't even remember the community you once joined? Of course I remember Wyoming, but why do you want to go to? If you just casually ran to the 7th outer layer, you would definitely cause a big mess, right? Yeah, you said this with some dumbfounding. The girl in front of him was a bigger master than Bayaksha. In terms of identity and status, she was only stronger than Bayaksha. The last time she went to the lower level seemed to have caused a lot of trouble. If she did it again, yeah, you couldn't guarantee what would happen. Don't worry, I will hide my identity well this time. Nation and Naisha said so nonchalantly, stood in front of Yayu and shook her body. Immediately, the very conspicuous features of the girl disappeared. After losing the spiral dragon horns and the slender dragon tail, it seems that Naisha is just an ordinary little girl. The two people standing next to Off-Eyes were like sisters, equally petite and lovable. If it looks like this, it's no problem. As long as you don't talk nonsense, no one will know their identity. Why do we have to go to the lower level? Seeing Naisha's decision to go, Yayu asked a little strangely. Because there are very interesting activities. The Fire Dragon Birth Festival is coming soon. Fire Dragon Birth Festival. Well, it's a festival held by a certain community in the lower level. It's one of the most interesting and lively festivals in the lower level. And speaking of it, this Fire Dragon Birth Festival has something to do with me. Nation and Naisha narrowed their eyes happily as they said this, like a child looking forward to the festival, while Yayu tilted his head curiously. Does it have anything to do with you? But where is the relationship other than the dragon character? Well, doesn't the word dragon count as a relationship? This is a very important relationship. The ceremony to worship the dragon is almost like a ceremony held just for me. Naisha and Naisha said so matter-of-factly, making Yayu dumbfounded for a while. Although there seemed to be nothing wrong with what she said, why did he feel so strange? Fire Dragon Festival. On the other side, Off-Eyes also showed a very interested look. In the original world, the girl was an existence that even the true gods feared as the infinite dragon god. No one in the entire world truly understood the existence of the girl. But now that she has just arrived in this world, she hears about a festival held specifically for powerful dragons, which naturally makes the girl feel very novel. In the end, Yayu compromised and took Off-Eyes and Naisha through the realm gate to the 7th outer layer. In fact, it would be useless even if Yayu didn't compromise, because he was in other people's territory and acted based on other people's faces. If Naisha was unhappy, she could easily imprison him in the headquarters of the Scourge. It would be even harder for him to escape than to reach the sky. And even if he escapes, it is impossible to leave the 3rd outer layer, because the realm gates of the 3rd outer layer are basically guarded by people from the Scourge Legion. It is also impossible to leave here through the realm gate. Of course, Yayu didn't know whether Naisha had to go to the lower level for the so-called Fire Dragon Birth Festival, or whether she went to the lower level because of something else. But at least it is certain that the nameless community or the entire lower class of Hakedan will not have a good time in the future. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Shang. Chapter 347. The 7th outer layer of the small garden, the outer door of 210-5380 on the lower level of the east area, the nameless residence of the community. It has been more than a month since Letitia returned and Yayu was taken away. During this period of more than a month, although Black Rabbit said nothing, everyone in the community could feel the girl's self-blame. The feeling that because of one's own weakness, one cannot even protect one's companions. It seems that it was also because of the incident between Yayu and Letitia that the stimulated girl began to exercise desperately. At this moment, in the courtyard of the station, Black Rabbit was running with Kazukebyoshi whooshing. This is the physical exercise prescribed by Black Rabbit. He must do physical exercise every day. When he gets up in the morning, he first runs 20 laps around the headquarters. Naturally, Izayoi completed the task easily and left early. As for Kuanosuka, he refused to go for a morning run today because he was feeling unwell and escaped. So now only Kurito and Yao are left. I just ran through the 15th lap. After staying in the courtyard for a while, Izayoi walked towards the hall with Kuanosuka. The moment they opened the door, the two of them watched a letter appear out of thin air, and then slowly fall down. Ah, is this one? This strangely familiar way of writing made Asuka and Izayoi blink. The sealing wax of the letter is stamped with the crest of the two opposing goddesses, which is the flag of the Thousand Eyes. Is the letter with the logo of Thousand Eyes printed on it the invitation letter specially sent by that lustful loli? Izayoi said to himself as he picked up the letter on the ground. Is it Shiro Yakusha, the ruler of the class? Asuka's face suddenly showed joy. That's great. This lady has been almost rusty from being here for a month. Since it is a letter sent by her, then it must be it's a lot of fun. Let me take a look at the invitation letter for the Fire Dragon Birth Festival, a common festival held by the class rulers of the North and East districts. Festival. Asuka's eyes sparkled with excitement. Haha, what is this? This content, in addition to the arts and crafts exhibition and judging meeting made by the ghosts and elves in the North District, there are also various gift games organized by the organizers. The main activities are schedule a grand festival hosted by the class dominator. It looks like a fun event. Izayoi continued to read this, with an excited look on his face. Miss, what do you think? You must not miss such an interesting event. Of course, but it's best to find a way to hide it from Black Rabbit. If she finds out, she might not be able to go. That's natural. If Black Rabbit knew about it, he might not be able to play. 20 laps of morning training was over, and Kazukabyo walked into his room while wiping the sweat on his forehead. You've worked really hard, miss. I'm ready for a drink to quench my thirst. While chatting with Kazukabyoshi in cat language, the three-haired cat on the bed ran over dragging a bottle of iced drink. Thank you, Sanmao Cat. With a slight smile, he thanked his partner who had been with him for many years, and Yao picked up the drink and drank it. Ah, it's really hard, and so is Black Rabbit. Doing these meaningless trainings every day. As he said this, he opened the door and walked in, wearing a long red dress. No. The effect is very obvious. I feel that my body has become stronger. In response to Kuanasuka's words, Kazukabyoshi shook his head and refuted. Miss, this is not what we are here to talk about. Izaoi's voice came from outside the door again. It was fun. Are you interested? Shaking the letter in his hand, Izaoi asked Kazukabyoshi with a smile. This is. After receiving the letter from Izaoi and reading it carefully for a moment, Kazukabyoshi's eyes suddenly lit up. Seeing this scene, Izaoi and Kuanasuka also looked at each other and smiled. They knew that they had brought down another accomplice. Although the morning run was over, Black Rabbit's training had not yet stopped. Just as the girl was vigorously performing a set of boxing skills in the courtyard, noisy sounds began. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. The one who ran over in a panic and shouted so loudly was Lily, the older fox girl among the children. What's wrong, Lily? Why are you so flustered? Toby, Miss Asuka, Master Izaoi, and Miss Yao have disappeared. Ah, this is the letter they left behind. Seeing the Black Rabbit's face darken, Lily, who kept wagging her two tails, handed the letter in her hand to the other party. Opening the letter with trembling hands, Black Rabbit saw these words. To the Black Rabbit. We are going to attend the festival held at the 4th Outer Gate of the North District and the 399-9999 Outer Gate of the East District. You must follow me, and Letitia too. It's really unforgivable that you didn't tell us about such an interesting festival, so as your punishment for deliberately hiding the festival from us, if you can't catch us within today, the three of us will withdraw from the community together. Come to us with the consciousness of fighting to the death, we will cheer you on. P.S. Brother Ren, we took him away as a tour guide. After a full 30 seconds of silence, Black Rabbit's hand holding the letter began to tremble continuously, and he made a cry like a whale. Then, what are those problem children talking about? Hearing the shrill cry of the Black Rabbit, Letitia in the room opened the window with a puzzled look on her face. What's wrong, Black Rabbit? Black Rabbit said this very angrily, and immediately handed the letter in his hand to Letitia, who couldn't laugh or cry when looking at the messages from Izayoi and others. Kuro Yosagi was not angry because Izayoi and others secretly went to the festival. In fact, she was angry because they casually said that they wanted to leave the community. Such words really made Kuro Yosagi very angry. This time you really went too far, problem children. So you can't say it lightly. Looking at the energetic Black Rabbit on the other side, Letitia shook her head in amusement, not knowing what to say. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 348. You guys arrived really quickly. Our invitation letter has just been sent out. The Thousand Eyes branch of the community used a folding fan to cover half of his face. Shiroyasha looked at Izayoi and others and said in surprise. Because it's so boring. For a whole month, I couldn't run around or go out because of Black Rabbit's request. I didn't even play the gift game a few times. Regarding Shiroyasha's question, Izayoi shrugged and said this with dissatisfaction. Well, since you are here, according to the agreement, we can send you to the North District for free. Long live. After hearing Byakusha's words, several problem children suddenly started celebrating. Of course, calling you here is not just for fun, because something is very likely to happen during the Fire Dragon birth ceremony, so this time can be regarded as a commission and request made by me as a class ruler to your nameless community. Woolen cloth. Of course, this is also a rare opportunity. It is a great opportunity for you nameless people to become famous. Looking at the problem children celebrating together, Byakusha covered his mouth again and chuckled. Could it be that he's the Demon King? I'm almost getting rusty just staying here. I've long wanted to find a Demon King for a good fight. As the leader of the community, Jin's expression still looked a little scared and panicked, but Izayoi didn't care. On the contrary, he shouted excitedly. The members of my staff seem to be very motivated, so what do you think, Your Majesty Ren? Although Izayoi agreed happily, Shiroyasha's eyes still fell on Jin, who was the leader of the community. Yes, yes. We are happy to accept it. Seeing Ren nod, Byakusha nodded with satisfaction, tapped the pipe and began to explain. Okay, so where to start? Well, first of all, how much do you know about class rulers? I don't understand at all. Me too. Same. The class dominator is the guardian of the Order of Little Garden. The straightforward answers from the three problematic children made Ren look a little dumbfounded, and then he began to explain slowly. Class rulers have many responsibilities, the most important of which is to be responsible for the division or transfer of land in Hakoniwa City, and to organize games to test whether lower-level communities are qualified to be transferred to higher classes, etc. And when a natural disaster that disrupts order, that is, the Demon King, appears, the class rulers have the obligation to be the first to fight. As a price, they were given huge power and the highest level of privileges, organizer authority. Well, as Jinboy said, this joint festival is held for the generational change of Salamandra, one of the class rulers in the North District. Salamandra. Ren murmured to himself with a somewhat bitter look on his face. Do you know each other? That's right. We used to have a pretty good relationship with Salamandra. I didn't expect that the leader has changed. So, who is the leader now? Ren asked in a low voice, looking down in surprise. The current leader is the younger daughter Sandora, who inherited the name of Fire Dragon. Sandora-chan. Are you kidding me? She's only 11 years old. Well, Ren, didn't you become an unknown leader at the age of 11? How can that be the case? It's just nameless. You must know that the community Salamandra is the ruler of the class. Jin said with a wry smile, and then Izayoi hit his head in annoyance. This is not okay, my lord. If you, as the leader, look down on your own community, then there is no point in taking back the flag and rescuing your comrades. Sorry, Izaoi-kun. Young Izaoi is right. As an unknown leader, Jin, you can't belittle yourself. Bayasha also said the same thing, and Ren nodded vigorously and cheered up. This birth festival is also the debut show of Sandora, the next ruler of the North District. However, because she is still young, she came to ask me, the ruler of the East District, to be the co-organizer. Oh, this is really a strange approach. Are there other rulers in the North District? Then why not just ask those communities to hold the festival together? Well, that's right. Bayaksha suddenly started hesitating. Some organizations don't like young people in power, something like that. Well, that's pretty much it. It's really annoying. Isuka's expression instantly twisted unpleasantly. Having experienced this many times, she was particularly sensitive to this kind of thing. Well, actually there are a lot of things to talk about this time. First of all, it's about the commission. Come and take a look at this letter. Saying this, Shiroyasha took out a letter from his kimono and handed it over. This letter contains the reason why I asked you to entrust me. You can confirm it with your own eyes. Is this a warning letter of the Demon King's attack? Looking at the letter in his hand, Izaoi said with some surprise. Yes, this is the result of one of the Cotters of the Summoning Eye predicting the future. Predict the future. Regarding this word, Izaoi once again showed an interested expression. Yes. As you know, many members of our Summoning Eye are gift holders with special magic eyes. Among the various observers, there are also those who can gather future information, the person who provides it as a gift. As for the gift that Guy gave to this birth festival, it is this prophecy of the Demon King is coming. I see, it means a gift called prophecy. So is this prophecy accurate? It's basically correct, because it was sent by Laplace's demon. Speaking of this, Shiroyasha couldn't help but look at Izaoi a few more times. It was probably because his gift of unidentified body could not be known even from Laplace's piece of paper, or it could be that it had passed through Laplace. What happened to C's prediction? Is he actually the Laplace demon who is said to be omniscient? Ren looked surprised. He knew the name of this demon very well. So the content of the commission is indeed related to the Demon King. What do you want us to do? Take off the Demon King's head. You don't need to take risks, you just need to be responsible for the opening and help Salamandra crack the devil's game. As for the devil, with me as the ruler of the Eastern Strait as my witness, who dares to be arrogant? Regarding Izaoi's question, Shiroyasha smiled slightly, showing an extremely confident look, and answered like this. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 349. In the seventh outer layer, even very few people knew Kel'Thuzad. As for Nesha Nessa, who had never come down before, it was naturally even more impossible for anyone to recognize him. After hiding her physical characteristics, Nessa seemed to be a cute girl after all. With her and off eyes, Yayu finally returned to the unknown residence on the seventh outer layer of the small garden. Then when he just stepped into the gate of the community, he heard the noisy sound of the black rabbit. What happened? He asked with some curiosity, and then Yayu slowly opened the door, and the two black rabbits who had just walked to the door with Letitia were stunned. Yeah, Mr. Yayu, you are back. There was a trace of joy on Black Rabbit's face. The girl just wanted to walk over, but after seeing Nasha and Neza behind Yayu, her whole body froze. Her. That's really rude, Rabbit. Is there anything that makes you dissatisfied with me? Seeing Black Rabbit's exaggerated reaction, Nayashanisa slightly narrowed her narrow eyes and said something meaningful. We meet again, this unknown adult. I will remember the help Letitia had in the past. While Black Rabbit was panicking and not knowing what to do, Letitia on the other side stepped forward very calmly and spoke so humbly. Even Letitia only knew about the existence of the person in front of her for a moment, but just this moment had already frightened the girl. Even in the entire little garden, her identity was a taboo among the taboos. And now that this big shot has come to the lower level so casually, does this herald a change for the entire Hakoniya? When Letitia was thinking this, Nesha and Nisa had already walked in carelessly, not treating her as an outsider at all. Well, even though it's just an anonymous headquarters, it seems pretty good. Then, why did this gentleman come to the lower level? Black Rabbit, who had come back to his senses, asked tremblingly, while Nasha and Nasa waved her hands indifferently. Just call me Nasha Nasha. As for why I came to the lower level, why am I not welcome? How could it be? I just feel a little surprised that Lady Nesha and Nasha would suddenly come to the lower level. After all, your identity is. I'm the Demon King, right? Nasha Nasa laughed softly as she said this. It seems that you still don't fully understand the true meaning of the Demon King. Well, I can't blame you. After all, that's how the guys above are brainwashed. The Demon King is evil, a being that should be eliminated. Nasha Nasa said so coldly, both Black Rabbit and Letitia looked embarrassed, not knowing what to say. Such a few simple words from the girl directly involved the big shots at the top of Hakoniwa, and they did not dare to guess at random. I wonder if Wyoming, can help Lady Nesha and Nisa. After recovering from the surprise, Black Rabbit also regained her composure and began to ask questions that she was more concerned about, which was the real purpose of Nasha's coming to the lower level this time. Well, don't be so nervous, I'm just here to participate in the festival, the Fire Dragon Birth Festival. Nayashanisa said with a smile. This is not the first time I have come to participate. I have attended every Fire Dragon Birth Festival. Hey, every session. Black Rabbit was stunned by Nasa's words. Such a big shot would come to the lower level every Fire Dragon Birth Festival, but he was completely unaware of it. Why does Lady Nasha attend every Fire Dragon Birth Festival? Not only was Black Rabbit speechless in surprise, Letitia also asked with a curious look on her face. Because it's the Fire Dragon Birth Festival, a festival specially organized for dragons. Of course I want to go and see it. Nasa said this happily, and Black Rabbit and Letitia realized that the girl in front of them was a dragon, and not only that, she was also a pure blood of a dragon. Who is this one? In addition to Nation, Nasa and Yayu, the existence of off-eyes also fell into the eyes of Black Rabbit and Letitia. The two asked curiously, while Yayu touched Off-Eye's head and smiled. Answer. Well, she's a dragon just like Nisa and Nisa. Again, it's a dragon again. Listening to what Yayu said, both Black Rabbit and Letitia stared at Off-Eyes with nervous expressions. The world of Little Garden is different from other worlds. Here, as long as the dragon is pure, it cannot be underestimated. Even subspecies of dragons possess extremely powerful strength, let alone pure-blood dragons that can rival gods and demons. In the eyes of Black Rabbit and Letitia, even if the dragon with Nayashanisa is not a pure-blooded dragon, it is probably an extremely powerful subspecies, right? Okay, don't wait any longer. Let's go to the celebration as soon as possible. I can't wait any longer. Nasa said so excitedly, Yayu also nodded, and Black Rabbit showed an expression that he wanted to say something else. However, Letitia stretched out a hand to stop her, because even if she said something to ruin the scenery, it would be meaningless. All she needed to do now was to act as a tour guide and let this adult have fun. Don't worry, Black Rabbit. I can just do the work of a tour guide. I also know that you have more important things to do. Indeed, let's trouble Lady Letitia. Those hateful problem children, let me punish them. Listening to what Letitia said, Black Rabbit was so angry that he couldn't help but feel itchy teeth as he thought of Izayoi and others who had caused trouble for him. Then you two adults, please come with us. We will now go to the North District, the site of the Fire Dragon Birth Festival. Letitia said this respectfully to Nesha, Nisa and Afais, and immediately the group set off. As a noble of Hakuba, Black Rabbit easily obtained the qualification to teleport to the North District for free, and then the group of people came to the North District of Hakuba through the Realm Gate. After crossing the Realm Wall, the scenery in front of me has also undergone earth-shaking changes. What lay before me was a town made of red walls, flames, and glass. Even though it was still daytime, the whole town still took on a hue reminiscent of dusk. This is not only because of the decoration of the town, but also because many huge chandeliers are shining red warm firelight on the area covered by the shadow of the realm wall. Is this the North District? Looking at the scene in front of him, Yayu muttered to himself, while the Black Rabbit on the other side had already left in a hurry. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 350. What happened to Black Rabbit? Seeing the Black Rabbit leaving in a hurry, Yayu asked strangely. It's nothing serious. It's just Izayoi and the others who caused some trouble again. Look, it looks like Black Rabbit has had a very hard time during my absence. Yayushin nodded with deep feeling, while Letitia on the other side showed a look that didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Izayoi and the others seemed to have made teasing the Black Rabbit a habit, and Letitia was very helpless about this and didn't know what to say. Is this the North District? It looks quite different from the cultural style of the East District. Yayu said this, while Afais beside him widened his eyes, curiously looking at everything she had never seen before. Are you surprised? There are many things in this small garden that can surprise you. Seeing Afais's appearance, Yayu said something funny, and then the group of people walked towards the town not far away. The walking candlestick made of glass, not only Afais, there are many things here that even Yayu has never seen. Originally, Letitia planned to be a tour guide, but it seemed that Nesha and Nisa were more familiar with this place than she was. It seemed that she attended the Fire Dragon Festival every year. This was not just a joke, it was true. Because the world outside the outer gate is a pure white snowfield, so the North District relies on the huge barrier and many lights of Hakuba City to maintain this eternal autumn scene. Although Nesha and Nasha seemed very familiar with this place, it seemed that Yayu and Afais still didn't know anything, so Letitia still explained to them responsibly. Oh, so it developed like this because of the harsh environment. That's right. So the residents of the North District are very hard-working and industrious. Without their labor and wisdom, the North District would not be what it is. Mr. Yayu, and the two adults, please let me take you all around this North District festival. Well, I'll trouble you then. Nation and Nasha nodded reservedly, and immediately, the group quickly headed towards the glass corridor. At the same time, there are boundary walls, free areas, and commercial areas in the northeast. Izayoi and his group, who had been shopping for several hours, were the first to arrive in the red-windowed corridor decorated with red bricks and cut glass, and were walking along the corridor across the entire business district. It's so beautiful here. There is no place like this in my hometown. The flying bird in the red dress completely blended into the dim glass corridor, which was illuminated by candlelight and glass. Is it called the Red Corridor? It looks like a shopping street. Are there any specialties and limited edition products worth exploring? His eyes dyed red by the candlelight swept across the shops on both sides, and Izayoi looked quite happy. Although I haven't been here for 3 years, basically nothing has changed here. Ren, who has been here before, is very familiar with the environment. They introduced many places during previous tours. Huh? What is this? In the center of the corridor, huge dragon sculptures came into everyone's eyes. This was a dragon monument made of huge emerald green glass. Seeing this sculpture, Izayoi he held his chest and walked around, studying. This is the first generation leader of Salamandra, Lord Star Sea Dragon King. It was made by Lord Sarah. Sarah, Asuka couldn't help but be curious about the name. Ren said. Well, Lady Sarah is the eldest daughter of the former leader. I originally thought that she or Lord Mandela would succeed this time, but I didn't expect that it would fall on Sandora. Oh. So, this time we skip the eldest daughter and second son and let the youngest daughter inherit directly. Yes, with Lady Sarah's strength, she is definitely capable of becoming the class ruler in the North District, but Sandora's words. While Jin was meditating on this matter, Izayoi suddenly said in a low voice with a sigh. The first generation leader Zingai Dragon King was carved from a large crystal of obsidian-like crystal. Lingzhou means, hey. Doesn't this mean an obsidian-like crystal made artificially? Huh? It looks like obsidian crystals. Isn't it glass? No, obsidian is a kind of natural glass. It is a rare mineral synthesized from the energy and heat generated when meteorites impact. But it is actually artificially made. The maker named Sarah seems to be very interesting. Izayoi raised his head and stared at the dragon sculpture with an interesting smile on his face. Well, if I have the chance, I will introduce it to you. Thumb, thumb, thumb. Just as Ren finished speaking, a subtle yet crisp sound echoed in the corridor. Looking in the direction of the sound source, the three problem children saw a pitch-black terrifying shadow gradually approaching. Finally found it. Ah. Accompanied by a loud rumbling sound, the black shadow still in the distance bounced and accelerated in an instant, and came to Izayoi and the others. The leader of the kidnapping community escaped privately and made a threatening statement. It is really unforgivable to do such a thing. He, I finally found you, problem children. Black Rabbit, whose whole body was wrapped in thick black resentment, looked at Izayoi and others below the stage and said in a terrifying voice. Very scary. The rabbit is angry. Like the devil. It's not because of you guys that it's like this. Grabbing Ren, who was smiling wryly with one hand, Black Rabbit roared angrily. Run away. The first person to act when he realized his own crisis was Izayoi. Don't even think about escaping, Black Rabbit shouted and chased after him. Huh? Wait a minute. Izayoi picked up the flying bird beside him, turned around and ran away. Yao blew up a whirlwind and tried to escape to the sky, but was a few steps slower. Kuro Yosagi jumped up with all his strength and grabbed Yao's boots. Wow, wow. Miss Yao, I have caught you. I will never let you escape again. Black Rabbit's smile didn't seem right. She pulled Yao over, hugged her tightly, and whispered in Yao's ear. A little later, there will be a lot of time for preaching. Please be mentally prepared in advance. Oh, Okay, understood. Yao, who was caught, could only give out a helpless smile.